Okay, story time. Let me tell you about probably the longest, boringest high school race that's ever been sailed. The wind is coming this way, and it basically died like right at the start. And this start is right around 3 o'clock, right? So everybody's on the line, and this blue boat here is Steven. He was actually in boat number 7, but we don't have a number 7 here. So everybody starts, and Steven has a kind of slow start. So everybody goes this way, and then they all start tacking over here. And the wind is just dead right now. Like they're just kind of like drifting along. And Steven has tacked over here. And we're all watching from the shore down this way, right? We're all on this big floating dock here. So we can see how far people are this way, but we can't see how far people are this way. So we're all watching through binoculars, and all we can see is basically like lines of boats like this. And we're like, oh no, Steve is in the way back. But that's okay, because he usually does like catch a few boats. What we don't realize is that instead of being like this, it's more like this. And so eventually Steven tacks over, and a little bit of wind came in from the right side, and he passes everybody. And so of course we're like, wow, this is awesome, because he's crossing like everyone, and he rounds the mark first. And then the next few boats start coming around, and it's like absolute glass at this point. We've got a couple boats that are still down here, and they're not moving. This boat is number 5. We don't have a 5 either. Number 5 will come into play later. So Steven's going downwind, and we're going about as fast as the current. Like, I think genuinely on the downwind, the only reason we were moving is because the current was drifting them slowly that way. Because everybody was going the same speed, right? And so more boats are coming around, and we're slowly going down. And we're like, maybe they could just finish the race here as everybody comes to the line. But they don't. And this is probably a good quarter mile all the way down there. So they've got a long way to go for just drifting with current. And other boats are starting to get up here. Boat 5 is just sitting there. They have no clue what they're doing. They're just like, every couple minutes they like randomly move from one side to the other, like in the hopes that their boat leaning one direction will help them move. At one point they tried to roll tack, but they didn't do the tack part. They just like did a super roll and then a super flatten, and the skipper dropped the frickin' main sheet when he comes over, so the whole boom just comes and nails him in the face as he's doing the flatten. I don't think he was hurt. It was just the boom. There was no wind, so he didn't seem to be hurt. I was watching him for a while. But anyway, we're all like very, very slowly getting down here. And at some point, we get down to the leeward mark. And it's been about 20 minutes. So keep in mind that the size of the course we had, most of the races we had today were like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes long. It's been 20 minutes, and the first boat is just getting to the leeward mark. He's still got to come all the way up to the finish line, right? And there's other boats behind there. Somebody passed someone on the downwind. I don't remember, but they're all moving, and pretty like everybody's rounded. Boat 5 is like still sitting here. And so eventually Steven comes to the mark, and he's starting to round, and because there's current, he heads up and keeps drifting this way. And everybody's like, no, Steven, no. And the kids that are like, that have teammates in these boats, it was so funny because we were sitting like close to them. And so we were all just kind of bantering back and forth. We were like, yeah, he's opened the door so wide, somebody's going to sneak in. But obviously nobody did, because it like from the 3-boat length circle probably took 3 minutes to get to the mark. It was so slow. And so Steven's moving upwind, and this boat finally gets around. And then the coach of this guy is like, look, he's standing up to get some good leeward heel to get around the mark. The only problem is he's about 4 minutes away from the mark. And it literally did take like 2 or 3 minutes for him to get there, like from the 3-boat length circle. So these boats are starting to go upwind now. And then this was Locke, I think, and some other people are coming down. And then after about 10 minutes, I look, and Somehow, boat 5 has gone from here all the way around and is here, has passed this boat. I don't know how that happened. So then now we're all sailing upwind-ish, if you can call it that. Like, it's just nothing. There's just glass. We're just drifting about as fast as you can drift. And then they have to tack back this way at some point, so they're all going this way. And then this giant motorboat comes by and gets this huge wake rolling down. And we're like, no, you need to tack before you hit that. But he doesn't tack, and so it hits him straight on the bow and kills any kind of momentum he had. And so he's just like floating around, like literally was pointing downwind and was just drifting around. And we're like, no, because these boats are starting to catch up now very slowly. They're like 2 feet closer to him than they were before. But it's something. And we're like, no, he's got to get some momentum again. And you can see him out there. He's just like sitting, trying to heel the boat a little bit and get any kind of ability to turn. And the boat is just drifting around. It was the most, I don't know. But anyway, so now we've got more boats coming down. And finally, he gets a little bit of momentum. And he turns back and he tacks over. And then this boat tacks and everybody's heading this way. And boat 5 has actually finally got down to the mark and passed somebody despite being like a whole leg behind. And then finally Steven finishes literally 30 minutes after the race started. And so he starts coming in, and it's probably a couple 100 yards back into the dock where we have to go. So we all go and we help Steven get his boat out of the water, and we get it completely put away and de-rigged and everything. These boats have got in at this point, right? They've finished. This boat passed this boat upwind, and he's finished. He's on land. This boat is on land, like is starting to pull himself out of the water. And I look out, and somehow boat 6 has passed 5 again, and 5 is still trying to finish the race after 4 boats have already finished, come in, and put themselves away. It was the most ridiculous thing. But anyway, that's the story of the slowest race ever.